there, I'm Math Mom, and today we're going to talk about multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions is a simple matter of multiplying numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So for example, if we have 1/3 times 1/4, our answer would be numerator times numerator divided by denominator times denominator. This rule holds true no matter how many fractions you're multiplying together at one time. We can have 1/2 times 1/4 times 1/5. Our numerator would be 1 times 1 times 1. 4 times 2 is 8, times 5 is 40. So the rule is the same no matter how many fractions you're multiplying together at one time. But because we'd rather be smart and lazy than smart and take a long time to do things, it's important to have a close look at the fractions that you're multiplying together before you do any calculations, because sometimes those fractions can be simplified, and that would mean we have smaller numbers that we're multiplying together. For example, if we have 2/3 times 6/7 times 15/16 times 5/8, we could go ahead and multiply all the numerators together and then multiply all the denominators together and have an answer with large numbers and then see if we could simplify it. But the smart thing to do is look at the fractions before you do the multiplication to see if any of them can be simplified. So for example, we have 2 here that divides into itself once and into 8 4 times. We have 2 divides into 6 3 times and into 4 twice. The 3's divide out here, and I think that is it. So our numerator then is 1 times 1 times 15 times 5, and our denominator is 7 times 16 times 2. So it's important to have a look at the fractions beforehand to see if any of them can be simplified, so that you end up having smaller numbers to multiply in order to get your answer. Okay. Now, let's do a word problem as an example. Say we have a train that travels 80 kilometers in 1 hour. And we're asked to calculate how far does that train travel in 3 hours. So the first thing we do is understand the question. The question is asking how far. So we know our answer has to be distance. Our answer must be in kilometers. The information that we're given is that the train travels 80 kilometers in 1 hour. And they're asking how far does it travel in 3 hours. So if we multiply that by 3 hours, every whole number has a denominator of 1. So now we are multiplying two fractions together But more importantly, we're paying attention to the units. Our unit here of hour in the denominator divides out with the hour in the numerator. And we're left with the unit of kilometer, 80 times 3, and the correct unit. So we know that we have done the calculation properly because the units we've ended up with are kilometers, which is the distance that they're asking. Okay, what if the next part of the question is asking how long does it take the train to travel 200 kilometers? First thing we do is understand the question. What are they asking? How long? They're asking about time, so we know our answer must be in hours. The distance given is 200 kilometers. Just to make it practical for ourselves, let's give the 200 a denominator of 1. Now, say we don't know if we're supposed to multiply or divide, we're not too sure. We're going to follow the units and let the units tell us what to do with the numbers. So let's guess, because we don't know what to do. What happens if we multiply our 200 by 80 kilometers per hour? What do we end up with? We have kilometers times kilometers, kilometers squared, and in our denominator we have hours. Okay, that doesn't look right. We can't have any kilometers in our answer, and we definitely can't have kilometers squared. They're asking about how long, how much time, so our answer just has to be in hours. So we know that multiplying these two numbers together is the wrong thing to do. What happens if we divide? Let's see if this works. Now, if we have one fraction divided by another fraction, because you've already watched the video on dividing fractions, you know what to do here. So we have our 200 kilometers over 1. The division sign switches to multiplication, and our second fraction becomes inverted. The numerator becomes 1 hour, and our denominator becomes the 80 kilometers. Now, before we do any calculations, we're going to check the units to see if this works out. Kilometers divide out, and we're left with hours as our unit. So our numerator is 200 times 1, and our denominator is 80. We can simplify this, divide by 10, 4 goes into here twice, and into 25 times. So we have 5 over 2 hours, which equals 2 and 1/2 hours. So following the units is a very important trick to remember. If you're dealing with a word problem or a complicated string of fractions or quotients in a physics equation, you can always follow the units and see what divides out and that will tell you whether you are multiplying the number the way it is, or you're going to divide and the number becomes inverted. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing. So I have recently created a Facebook page. You can find the link on the channel wall. Jump over to Facebook and do the daily challenge to keep your skills sharp. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.